Imagine just for a moment that your mind is a fertile field. In this field, you plant thoughts, seeds of ideas, hopes, fears, and dreams. And like any good farmer knows, whatever you plant will grow. If you plant corn, you'll harvest corn. If you plant nightshade, deadly poison, that's what will spring forth. The soil doesn't care what you plant. It simply returns to you what you sow. So it is with your mind. You become what you think about. It's a truth so simple, so profound, that most overlook it in their search for something more complicated. But this, my friend, is the strangest secret of success, of happiness, and of destiny itself. We live in a world where countless men and women drift aimlessly, never realizing they hold in their thoughts the compass that could guide them anywhere they wish to go. The great difference between the successful and the unsuccessful is not in intelligence, opportunity, or luck, but in the dominant direction of their thinking. The successful person thinks about what they want, and they move toward it. The unsuccessful person dwells on what they fear, and they move toward that. The mind is like a magnet. It draws to you whatever you constantly hold in your consciousness. If you think in terms of abundance, you begin to see abundance. If you think in terms of lack, you begin to live in lack. Our outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting our inner world. Change your thoughts, and you change your circumstances. Change your vision, and you change your future. Every building you see, every business, every invention, every advancement began as a single thought, nurtured, believed in, acted upon. The power that shapes the universe lies quietly within your own mind, waiting for you to give it direction. You see, the human being becomes the sum of their thoughts. A person who spends their days thinking of progress, of contribution, of growth, will inevitably become the embodiment of those things. Another who fills their mind with doubt, with complaint, with fear, will become a living reflection of that darkness. It cannot be otherwise, for the law is unchanging. We become what we think about. The great philosophers, the spiritual teachers, and the wise men of every age have told us the same truth. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So what shall we think about? The answer is as personal as your fingerprint, yet as universal as sunlight. Think about what you want. Picture it clearly in your mind, as though it were already yours. Write it down, fix it firmly before you, and dwell upon it daily. Don't waste your mental energy worrying about what you don't want. That only waters the weeds. Instead, hold in your imagination the picture of the life you wish to live, the person you wish to become, and your mind will go to work assembling the circumstances, opportunities, and actions needed to bring it to life. Now is the time to take responsibility for the garden of your mind. You are its sole caretaker, and your future harvest depends entirely on the seeds you choose to sow today. Plant courage, plant gratitude, plant vision, plant faith. And when the seasons turn, you'll reap a life of richness, of purpose, and of fulfillment. Remember always, you become what you think about. Guard your thoughts well, for they are the architects of your destiny. There is a moment in every life when one pauses and wonders, why do some people rise while others remain where they began? It isn't fate. It isn't circumstance. It is something far quieter, far more constant, and far more powerful. The steady whisper of thought that plays endlessly in the theater of the mind. Within that whisper lies the secret that shapes destinies, builds empires, and transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. Every man and woman walking this earth carries within them a seed, an invisible, intangible power to shape the course of their life through the simple act of thinking. Yet, few ever realize it, and fewer still learn how to harness it. Consider for a moment the subtle workings of this idea. Thought, though unseen, is the architect of every action, every habit, every creation we bring into the world. The car you drive, the home you live in, the chair upon which you sit, each one began as a thought in the mind of another. Before it was built, before it was touched, before it was even spoken aloud, it was conceived in the quiet workshop of imagination. This is the nature of thought. It precedes, it directs, and it manifests. To recognize this is to awaken to one's true creative power. Now imagine your mind as a field. It is rich, fertile, and capable of producing any crop you choose. You stand at its edge each day, holding in your hands the seeds of thought. Some seeds carry ideas of growth, courage, learning, and abundance. Others carry doubt, fear, envy, and limitation. The field does not judge the seeds you plant. It will grow whatever you sow. If you plant weeds, weeds you shall have. If you plant roses, roses will bloom. The harvest of your life, then, is not a matter of chance. It is the inevitable result of what you have allowed yourself to think about, to dwell upon, and to nurture within your mind. This is not philosophy for the sake of comfort. It is a law as real and reliable as gravity. The direction of your thoughts determines the direction of your life. What you hold in your consciousness, day after day, will eventually take root in your reality. Think about prosperity, and you will begin to see opportunities. Think about failure, and you will find obstacles. Think in terms of service, and you will be given the means to serve. The outer world bends to the inner pattern. Life becomes the reflection of the ideas you permit to occupy your mind. But most people drift through life unaware of this truth. They live reactively, letting external conditions dictate their mood, their energy, their goals. They think thoughts that belong to circumstance rather than to vision. They speak words of limitation and wonder why abundance escapes them. They fill their days with worry, and so their nights are restless. And yet, the key has always been in their possession. They could choose differently at any moment. They could begin to think of possibility, of purpose, of becoming more than they are today. For as surely as the farmer decides his harvest by the seed he sows, so does every human being shape their destiny by the thoughts they cultivate. The beauty of this truth lies in its simplicity. You need not possess wealth to begin, nor education nor influence. You need only awareness that you are always planting something. Awareness that each thought, repeated with feeling, sets into motion forces unseen but unfailing. The mind will conspire with your belief. It will draw people, ideas, and circumstances aligned with what you dwell upon. This is why the individual who believes they can eventually does. This is why the one who believes they cannot inevitably proves themselves right. To embrace this is to reclaim authorship of your life. It is to step out of the role of victim and into the role of creator. It is to understand that your life is not something happening to you. It is something emerging from you. The quality of your thoughts will become the quality of your days. The depth of your vision will shape the scope of your achievements. So let your thoughts be guided not by fear but by purpose, not by doubt but by desire, not by what is, but by what can be. For the mind, like the soil, is ever ready to yield what you plant. Choose your seeds with care, for they will one day stand before you as the life you have built. There is a quiet truth that shapes every success and every failure, and yet it hides in plain sight. It is not the loudest voice that directs a life, but the constant one. The thoughts you allow to live in your mind, the pictures you hold, the expectations you feed, these form the path you walk step by step, often without realizing it. People search endlessly for secrets, strategies, shortcuts, but overlook the most powerful force. They already possess the power to choose what they think about. For in that choice lies the foundation of all achievement and all despair alike. A person's mind is a marvelous instrument. It works faithfully, tirelessly, taking instruction from whatever you feed it. Give it images of success, and it begins to create ways to move toward them. Fill it with fear, and it will build walls around your possibilities. It doesn't question your orders, it only obeys them. The great difference between those who move ahead and those who stand still is not found in talent or luck, but in the steady current of thought that shapes their decisions. Some think of growth, improvement, contribution, and so they progress. Others think of limitation, resentment, and defeat, and so they decline. The mind is impartial. It will give you exactly what you ask for, whether you understand what you're asking or not. Every life begins with potential, but potential is only possibility. It must be directed. A ship, no matter how grand, is worthless without a course. And so it is with thought. Without direction, it drifts. Without a clear vision, it repeats yesterday. The man or woman who rises above circumstance is the one who decides what to dwell upon, who sets their mental compass toward a chosen destination. They know that thoughts are the blueprint, actions are the builders, and life is the finished structure. What, then, are you allowing to occupy the precious space of your mind? Too often, people permit worries, regrets, and doubts to take root, mistaking them for reality. They replay past mistakes as though rehearsing them could undo them. They imagine failure before beginning and call it caution. They fill their conversations with complaint and wonder why their days bring little joy. Yet, if they turned even a fraction of that energy toward imagining possibility, toward holding in mind what they wish to create, their lives would begin to move in new directions. For the mind, like a lens, focuses on what you point it toward. Point it toward fear and you magnify it. Point it toward purpose and you illuminate a path forward. The key is awareness. Most think by habit, not by choice. They wake up and let the noise of the world dictate the rhythm of their thoughts. The headlines, the opinions, the endless comparisons. But to live deliberately is to pause, to step back, to remember that thought precedes experience. You cannot hope for peace while thinking in chaos. You cannot expect success while dwelling on doubt. The outer condition will always mirror the inner state. Begin then within. Choose what deserves your attention. Let go of the thoughts that drain and hold fast to those that lift. This is not a call to blind optimism, but to conscious creation. Thinking rightly does not ignore difficulty, it transforms it. When you hold in your mind a goal, a purpose, a vision, obstacles become not barriers but building blocks. The individual who sees each challenge as a lesson will always advance beyond the one who sees only misfortune. The difference is in perspective, and perspective is born from thought. Each day offers a new chance to direct this invisible force. In the morning, you may choose to dwell on gratitude or on grievance. You may choose to see the day as an opportunity or as a burden. And whatever you choose will shape the hours ahead. For thoughts do not merely describe life, they define it. They color every experience, determine every action, and attract every outcome. You cannot think like a victim and live like a victor. You cannot entertain thoughts of scarcity and expect abundance. The path, then, is simple though not easy. Think intentionally, persistently, and constructively. Guard the door of your mind as you would a vault, for within it lies the wealth of your future. Feed it ideas that build courage, images that inspire progress, and beliefs that honor your potential. For in time, what you think will become what you live, and what you live will be the measure of what you have thought. Picture for a moment the way everything around you first came to be. The chair beneath you, the building that shelters you, the book on your shelf, the device in your hand, each began as a single thought in someone's mind. Before it was wood or steel, before it was crafted or assembled, it was imagined. The thought was the blueprint, the silent architect that brought the unseen into the scene. This is the unspoken order of creation: first the idea, then the effort, then the outcome. Everything that exists began in the invisible realm of thought, and so it is with every life that rises beyond the ordinary. Each of us walks with this same creative faculty. The thoughts we dwell upon do not vanish, they take form, sometimes slowly, sometimes with astonishing speed, shaping the circumstances that surround us. When we think in terms of growth, we find ways to grow. When we think in terms of fear, we meet the very conditions that justify it. The outer world, though vast, is molded by the inner one. Every circumstance, whether welcomed or resisted, is an echo of a thought once believed, a vision once entertained, a story once repeated within. There are those who look upon the successful and imagine they were favored by chance. But chance plays no such role. Look closely, and you will find the pattern. First came an idea held firmly and with faith, then came the persistence, the trial, the adaptation, and at last the realization. Thought, persistent and focused, bends reality in its direction. It is not magic but law. Just as a seed contains within it the full pattern of the tree, so a thought contains within it the full potential of its manifestation. Plant the thought, nurture it with belief, act upon it with courage, and in time it will bear fruit. Too many, however, scatter their mental energy. They think today of success and tomorrow of defeat. They entertain dreams 1 hour and doubts the next. In such soil, nothing lasting can take root. The mind requires constancy, just as a seed requires consistent care. If you wish to build something enduring, you must decide upon it, fix it in your imagination, and return to it again and again until it becomes part of you. For the image you hold repeatedly in your mind begins to influence every choice, every word, every small decision. Gradually, your behavior aligns with your vision, and your environment responds in kind. Consider the individual who envisions themselves as capable, resourceful, and worthy of achievement. Such a person begins to act in harmony with that image. They approach challenges differently, seek opportunities others overlook, and persist where others surrender. The belief precedes the evidence. In time, their world rearranges itself to reflect the conviction they held long before it seemed reasonable. Contrast this with the person who pictures themselves as a victim of circumstance. Their actions mirror their expectation. They avoid risk, they speak in limitation, they anticipate failure, and the world, obedient to the pattern, supplies confirmation. In both cases, thought leads and life follows. To harness this principle is to accept responsibility for the content of your mind. You cannot allow idle or destructive thoughts to drift unchecked, for they too are seeds. Every complaint nourishes a weed, every vision nourishes a harvest. The gardener who leaves their field unattended soon finds it overtaken. Likewise, the person who fails to discipline their thinking will harvest confusion and frustration. But the one who tends their mental garden with care, removing doubt, planting gratitude, nurturing ambition, will find that life itself becomes fertile ground for progress. This is why clarity of purpose is so vital. When you know what you want, when your mind is fixed upon a definite goal, your thoughts gather strength. They cease scattering and begin directing. The mind, unified in intention, becomes a powerful instrument. It sees connections, creates momentum, and draws circumstances aligned with its aim. To think clearly is to live deliberately. It is to move from reaction to creation, from drifting to steering. So fill your mind with what you wish to become. Hold fast to images of strength, abundance, kindness, and mastery. Let your imagination be the workshop where the architecture of your future is drawn. For as surely as night follows day, the thoughts you sustain will one day stand before you, not as visions, but as the tangible reality of your own making. There comes a time when every individual must look inward and face the truth that life mirrors their inner world. The person you have become, the conditions surrounding you, the opportunities that appear, or fail to appear, are all reflections of the ideas that dominate your thinking. You cannot hide from this law any more than you can escape gravity. Thought is cause, experience is effect. The images that you consistently hold within your mind create the script you live by, and your life becomes the stage upon which those thoughts perform. It has been said that no one can rise higher than the thoughts they entertain. When a person spends their days mired in worry, regret, or resentment, they build invisible chains that hold them fast. Each negative thought is a link forged in fear. Each self-doubt another clasp that tightens. And yet, just as these chains are made by thought, they may also be broken by thought. The moment one begins to entertain ideas of courage, gratitude, and vision, a shift begins subtle at first, then unmistakable. The mind, once crowded with limitation, becomes open to possibility. What was once seen as impossible starts to appear achievable. The same world, the same circumstances, now look different because the lens has changed. To rise above mediocrity, one must first rise in thought. The individual who constantly fills their mind with ideas of growth, of learning, of service, naturally becomes drawn toward actions that align with those ideas. Their speech changes, their posture strengthens, their decisions take on confidence. In contrast, one who habitually entertains thoughts of defeat and inferiority carries themselves as such, and the world responds accordingly. You attract not what you want, but what you are, and you are the sum of your dominant thoughts. Observe the way thoughts sculpt destiny. A student who sees themselves as capable will approach learning with curiosity and patience. Mistakes become lessons, effort becomes progress. In time, their results confirm their belief. Another who convinces themselves that understanding is beyond their reach will hesitate before they begin. They study with frustration, see obstacles instead of opportunities, and their results, though disappointing, faithfully mirror their self-image. In every profession, in every pursuit, the story repeats. The artist who envisions mastery becomes diligent in practice. The entrepreneur who imagines success grows alert to opportunity. The leader who thinks in service finds strength in adversity. Each life unfolds according to the vision held within. This truth carries with it both challenge and liberation. The challenge lies in taking responsibility. It means acknowledging that no one else holds the key. Your thinking does. The liberation is that the power to change rests entirely within you. You are not bound by the past, nor by the judgments of others, but by the limits of your own imagination. Once you decide to change your thinking, you begin to alter the unseen pattern that directs your path. Like a compass correcting its bearing, your life begins to shift toward the horizon of your new belief. Such transformation does not happen through idle wishing, but through deliberate cultivation. Each day, you must choose which thoughts to water and which to uproot. The mind, Left unattended grows weeds, doubt, envy, discouragement. To replace them, you must plant purpose, gratitude, and confidence. This is not mere sentiment but a daily discipline. Just as a musician trains their ear or an athlete strengthens their body, so too must you train your mind to dwell upon what you wish to manifest. The process requires patience. You cannot plant seeds of faith today and expect a harvest tomorrow. But in time, through consistency, your thoughts will bear fruit. Imagine, then, the person who begins each morning by recalling their goals, by affirming their strengths, by picturing the contribution they intend to make. As they move through the day, their behavior follows their belief. Challenges are met with composure, setbacks with resilience. Their attitude draws allies, their energy invites opportunity. To others, it appears as though fortune smiles upon them, but in truth, they have simply aligned their inner world with the outcomes they desire. The world outside may seem unpredictable, but the world within is entirely yours. When you master your thoughts, you master your direction. When you fill your mind with images of strength and purpose, your life cannot help but rise to meet them. For thought is the sculptor, and you are both the clay and the craftsman. Each day begins like a blank page, and upon it, you write the story of your life with the pen of your thoughts. Long before any achievement is visible to the world, it is first completed within the mind. The individual who lives with purpose does not leave the direction of their thoughts to chance. They understand that the mind, though invisible, is the workshop of destiny. There, in quiet moments of reflection, they build the framework of the future. They do not allow idle or wandering ideas to occupy their attention. Instead, they deliberately choose the images, beliefs, and desires they wish to bring forth. The starting point of every transformation lies in knowing what one truly wants. Without a definite aim, the mind drifts like a ship without a rudder, easily swayed by the winds of circumstance. Clarity gives power. When you decide upon a goal, you give your mind a clear instruction, and it begins to work, sometimes in ways you cannot see, arranging thoughts, directing attention, and drawing to you the people and opportunities that align with that vision. A goal firmly held is not a passing wish. It is a command issued to the deepest part of yourself, and once given, it sets unseen forces in motion. To think with intention is to plant seeds of purpose. Each thought is a living thing, capable of growing if nourished by belief and action. The mind cannot help but respond to what you repeatedly impress upon it. Picture a person who envisions health. They begin to notice habits that serve that end, foods that nourish, routines that strengthen. Another who thinks continually of wealth will grow more alert to value, to service, to innovation. A third who dwells upon peace will find ways to forgive, to simplify, to harmonize. In each case, the outer change is preceded by an inner choice. The vision leads, life follows. But this process demands vigilance. The mind cannot focus on two masters. If you hold your goal in one hand and fear in the other, they cancel each other out. You cannot plant one seed and expect another to grow. The person who continually revisits doubt undermines their own progress. Every time you think, "I cannot," you instruct your mind to stop searching for solutions. Every time you imagine failure, you practice for it. To overcome this, you must train yourself to dwell upon what you desire, not what you dread. Feed the image of success until it grows stronger than the shadow of uncertainty. There is great power in repetition. Just as a stream cuts through stone by constant flow, so your repeated thoughts carve channels in your consciousness. Through affirmation, visualization, and reflection, you condition the mind to expect the best. This is not self-deception but self-direction. The mind believes what it hears often, especially when spoken with conviction. When you affirm your purpose, you remind yourself of who you intend to become. Over time, this belief seeps into every action, guiding you naturally toward its fulfillment. Yet, thought alone is not enough. You must marry vision with effort. The mind may conceive, but the hands must execute. Action is thought made visible, the bridge between imagination and achievement. Each step, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that your goal is attainable. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence fuels further action. The individual who moves daily in the direction of their purpose becomes unstoppable, not because they never fail, but because their vision remains fixed. And so, each morning, you are faced with a choice to think deliberately or by default. You may awaken and dwell upon the day's worries, or you may take hold of your mental reins and steer your thoughts toward gratitude, purpose, and progress. The former breeds anxiety, the latter creates calm determination. Your mind will obey either master without complaint. It will magnify what you give it. If you offer confusion, it will return chaos. If you offer clarity, it will return order. Direct your thoughts as an artist directs their brush, each stroke intentional, each color chosen. The picture you paint in your imagination becomes the pattern your life follows. When you hold firmly in your mind the image of who you wish to be and what you wish to achieve, your subconscious begins its quiet labor. It whispers ideas, nudges decisions, orchestrates coincidence. Over time, the world outside begins to resemble the one within. The doorways that once seemed closed begin to open. The people you need cross your path. The strength you lacked begins to grow. For thought, once clearly defined and faithfully pursued, becomes the architect of every new reality. Every human life is a field awaiting cultivation, and each passing moment offers the chance to sow new seeds. The harvest you reap tomorrow will not be determined by luck, nor by the will of others, but by what you choose to plant in the soil of your mind today. Thought is the seed, action is the growth, and character is the fruit. If you wish to alter the yield of your life, you must begin by altering the ideas that take root within you. The mind will not stay empty. It will grow what you feed it. Neglect it, and weeds of fear and doubt will flourish. Tend it with care, and it will bloom with courage. Gratitude and direction. The first step in this noble work is awareness. Many move through life unaware that their thoughts are shaping them moment by moment. They react instead of reflecting. They repeat old beliefs without examining whether those beliefs serve their purpose. Awareness turns reaction into responsibility. It is the act of standing guard over one's own mind, of refusing to allow every stray idea to enter. Just as a wise gardener protects their field from pests, so must you protect your mind from thoughts that weaken your resolve. Awareness allows you to see which thoughts nourish and which deplete. With time, you learn to feed only what uplifts, to water only what strengthens. Once you have chosen the seeds you wish to cultivate, you must tend them daily. No crop grows overnight, and no mind transforms in an instant. Patience is the companion of all worthy effort. The person who expects immediate results soon loses heart, but the one who understands the rhythm of growth remains steadfast. Each repetition, each affirmation, each moment of focus is like sunlight upon the field. Progress may not be visible at first, but beneath the surface, roots are forming, habits are solidifying, and strength is quietly building. Perseverance in thought becomes perseverance in action, and both together create transformation. Consider the individual who begins to plant thoughts of confidence. At first, the soil may resist. Years of doubt have compacted it, hardened it. But with consistent effort, the new seed breaks through. Every small success waters it. Every word of encouragement strengthens it. In time, confidence becomes a natural part of the landscape, no longer forced, but flourishing. So it is with any virtue: discipline, gratitude, compassion. Each begins as a thought, grows through practice, and eventually stands tall as part of your character. Guarding the mind also means removing what does not serve. A gardener cannot plant and neglect pruning. When you catch yourself dwelling on fear, do not scold yourself. Simply redirect. Replace the thought with one that builds faith. When resentment arises, replace it with understanding. When envy whispers, counter it with gratitude. These small acts of mental discipline accumulate. Over time, they reshape not only how you think, but how you feel, how you act, and how others respond to you. A person who masters this inner work walks with quiet assurance, for they know they are the author of their own experience. Such mastery brings freedom. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance because your well-being no longer depends upon it. Storms may come, but the roots of your thought run deep, anchored in belief and purpose. You have trained your mind to look for possibility when others see only peril, to find lessons where others see loss. This strength does not make life effortless, but it makes it meaningful. Each challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate the power of deliberate thinking. The fruits of this cultivation extend far beyond personal gain. A mind filled with positive, creative, and generous thoughts becomes a source of light for others. Your example speaks louder than your words. When you embody calm amidst confusion, faith amidst fear, you show others what is possible. In lifting your own thoughts, you lift the atmosphere around you. Families, communities, even nations are shaped by the collective tone of thought within them. A single disciplined mind can inspire 1,000 more. So each morning when you rise, ask yourself, what will I plant today? Will I nurture thoughts of courage or of caution, of gratitude or of grievance? The answer will determine not only the quality of your day, but the direction of your life. You hold in your hands the power to design your destiny, to craft character, to cultivate joy. And it begins, as all things do, with a single seed of thought, planted deliberately, tended faithfully, and harvested in due season. And so, as the quiet truth unfolds before us, we return to the simple yet unshakable law that governs every life: you become what you think about. This is not a phrase to be admired and forgotten. It is a compass to be lived by. Every thought you entertain carries a consequence. Every image you hold becomes a seed of destiny. The world does not shape you first. You shape your world through the landscape of your own mind. The harvest you reap tomorrow is growing now, in the garden of your thoughts today. You need not wait for permission to change, nor for conditions to improve. The power rests already within you. It does not matter where you begin, how far behind you believe yourself to be, or what storms you have weathered. What matters is what you choose to hold in your mind from this moment forward. Think of purpose, and you will find direction. Think of courage, and you will find strength. Think of abundance, and opportunities will reveal themselves like dawn after darkness. The mind is faithful, impartial, obedient. It will return to you what you plant within it. Feed it gratitude, and you will see blessings multiply. Feed it fear, and you will find shadows lengthen. The choice always is yours. Each sunrise hands you the reins once more, inviting you to steer your thoughts toward the life you wish to live. So let this be your quiet resolution: to think deliberately, to imagine boldly, to believe deeply. Guard your mind as the sacred soil of your future. Tend it with care, patience, and conviction. And when doubt whispers, remember that no power is greater than a mind fixed upon truth. For all progress, all success, all fulfillment begins with a single decision: to think rightly. Stand firm, then, as the master of your own thoughts. Let every idea you hold lift you closer to your highest self. And when years have passed, and you look upon the life you've built, you will see reflected in its beauty the silent labor of your own mind. For indeed, you became what you thought about, and you thought about greatness.